Welcome to the Social Dialogue Podcast. We're a mother-daughter team, both working in the world of social media management.
Join us as we share our different perspectives on life today, including trends, fashion, friendships, and career, and how social media impacts it all. Together, we bring two perspectives to one conversation.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Jenna.
And we're excited to bring you this new episode of the Social Dialogue Podcast. Hi, Nana. How is your day going so far?
Good. I had class and then a meeting for my internship.
Okay. All right, good. Anything you can tell me or no?
You know I can't tell you that.
I'm always asking if she can share, but she can't. So we are so excited today. We are going to get into all kinds of things. There are new changes on Instagram we just heard about like an hour ago, so we're going to talk about that. But we're excited because we have our very first guest today.
Yay!
So I'm going to read our guest's official bio, and then we can get into it. We're so excited to have Lindsay Pinchuk as our guest today. So Lindsay, for those who don't yet know her, and you will if you don't, she is an entrepreneur, a marketer, a consultant, educator, speaker, connector, community builder, podcaster, small business advocate, and activist who turned $500 into 7 figures. She makes marketing simple so you can build your brand and grow your bottom line without 1 million followers or $1 million. Lindsay grew her first company to reach 3 million people and turned a profit in year 1. Less than a decade later, she led her company through its acquisition to a large agency holding company. Following her exit 4 years ago, she now uses her nearly 25 years, almost 30 now, years of experience to help brands get to the next level with easy to execute, cost-effective, and proven strategies. Lindsay's been featured across media through television, podcast, and print publications, including Time Magazine and the Wall Street Journal. When she's not speaking out for her community, which is how I connected with her, or guiding entrepreneurs how to market themselves better, which is how I'm connected to her now, she is the host of a top 2% weekly podcast called Dear Found Her. And we are so happy that she's joined us from Chicago today. Welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Shane and Jenna. I am so honored to be here, and I'm so honored that you asked me to be here first. So thank you. I'm so proud of you to see this podcast in the making. And I have to make a correction because just last week, a podcast, I look at my stats from time to time. I don't look at them a lot. And Dear Found Her is a 0.05%.
No way!
That's so exciting. Congrats.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
So that was an old bio, and
okay.
Thank you for letting me know because now I know I need to update it. But I am really so honored to be here, and I'm so honored that you asked me first. So thank you.
Absolutely. So it was almost a year ago that I asked Lindsay for some guidance. I knew I wanted to do a podcast. I had no idea how to do it. I have notes all over my desk, and then I just sort of like tabled it. And then one day Jenna said, "Mom, we should do a podcast." And I was like, okay.
We talk so much between the two of us that we are like, why can't we just bring it to the world?
Who doesn't want to listen to this all day, right? I mean, we're on the phone all day long.
Of course.
How about your husband?
Yeah, he doesn't want to listen to it.
Your dad?
Yeah. Every day he walks in, he's like, I hear her. Where is she? She's over there on my phone.
Wait, something's going on in the background of one of your...
It's
okay, I just want to make sure because it's going to be hard. That's tough to edit out.
Yeah, thank you. She's crazy. Can you chew on the quiet toy? Thank you. Okay, so first, before we get into our specific questions for Lindsay, we have some news about Instagram that literally just popped up. One of these accounts
I don't even know it.
You may not. One of these accounts that we follow that tells us, here's new things about Instagram. For a while, they were prioritizing Reels, but also carousels. And now they're changing it again, and they're moving toward prioritizing Reels, DMs, and recommendations. So my first thing is, why now? I wish they would be like Apple. And in September, the new news would come out and we'd all get ready for it and then we would adjust. But no, they do this when we're all tired. But I guess, let's talk about that for a minute. And are we each going to have to adjust our strategies and our campaigns? I know we do a lot of carousels for a lot of our clients. So that focus on Reels has been there, but I think it's going to be heavier now. And this DM piece is definitely going to...
What is the DM piece? What are they saying?
They're saying that messaging by DM, brand to consumer, is going to start picking up more. And I think that ties into ManyChat, which I know we use, and that's a great tool. And so Jenna, as you're strategizing with your internship, you want to make sure that they know these changes are coming, because my guess is, since they've mostly handed social over to you, they probably don't know this either.
Something so interesting, we were actually talking about this in class today, is like DM aspect. So like, I don't know how many years ago, but IKEA had this campaign where they basically DM'd people in the middle of the night, you up, you, the letter U, up, question mark. And it got people talking. And if you responded, you got 15% off a mattress or whatever. And this campaign went viral, and it all happened through Instagram DMs. So I just think that's so interesting that they were definitely like, and then other people started copying that. And I even saw it on a LinkedIn post today, the you up thing. And I'm like, wow, something that's just so simple has become so innovative. And the fact that Instagram is now using that to its advantage is kind of crazy to me, that it's come from just like a simple idea of an ad campaign.
One of the things that I do, and I actually do so much more now, and I guess it's very timely, but it's something that I've prioritized in the last, I would say, month or two, is what I go through probably a couple of times a week. I look on my Dear Founder account at my new followers, and if they have a public account, I send them a DM and I say like, hey, thanks so much for the follow. If there's anything we can do to help you in your business, let me know. And people write back, or they'll heart it, or they'll say thank you. And so I think that type of strategy is going to be a lot more important now. I don't know that you can automate that from ManyChat, actually. If someone follows you, I think you have to do that.
You have to go in,
manually.
Like, they offer the DM aspect, but the personalized, no way. That's got to be real. It's got to be authentic. Yeah.
And so, but I will say people engage with me. They'll ask me questions, and it's like a great way to start a conversation. So, and I always have done that from an engagement standpoint, just like because it helps with your engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of gets back to what social started as, two-way conversation back and forth, not just pushing out marketing messages, but actually having conversation. So when we think about how all of this got started, your first business was way in the beginning of social. What year was Bump Club?
So Bump Club started in 2010. And so honestly, Facebook didn't even have business pages.
Right. So it was all very new. So Jenna, who was born in 2004, doesn't know much about Bump Club. I know a lot about it just because I know you so well. But maybe just kind of share how you started it and really what was the purpose of it.
Yeah. So before I was pregnant, actually, I had an idea to bring pregnant women together through community. I lived in downtown Chicago, and I knew we were going to likely have children soon, and I didn't have family here. And none of my friends were pregnant. And the irony of the situation is we all have ninth graders, but mine is the oldest. And so I said to my husband, there has to be some kind of business, like a social club or something. There was nothing on Meetup. There was nothing. There was no social anything for pregnant women in Chicago. And my friends in New York were all going to these events and whatnot with what became my biggest competitor, Big City Moms. And so I started hosting events here in Chicago, and it was really word of mouth. There was no social media. It was like, do you know a pregnant person? Tell them about these events. And it was workouts, and then it was shopping events. And then people were like, what's next? Can you bring in speakers? And I started bringing in speakers, and then I started working with brands. And then we were hosting, 3-4 events a month in Chicago. And I had a woman who moved to Austin, and she was like, can I bring Bump Club with me? And I said, sure. And so we started doing events in Austin. And then I had a woman from Minneapolis call me. And then we started doing events in Minneapolis. And fast forward a couple years later, we were being approached by Target and Nordstrom and other really big names who wanted us to create custom activations for them, because we were reaching, at this point, thousands and thousands of expectant moms. And it was a really hard market to get to. And we had them, and they were engaged. And so fast forward 9 years later, we were reaching 3 million expectant parents and parents a month. Bump Club was generating 7 figures in revenue, and I sold it. So I sold it to a big agency conglomerate who wanted my relationship with Target. That's a whole other story. It's not even really worth getting into. And I sold it, and I worked there for a couple of years, and then I left about 2.5 years into it because I wanted to support women who were building and growing their businesses.
And that's what you're doing now.
And that's what I'm doing now. Yes. But I will say, I just I want to go back to Bump Club for a minute, because I think it's really important as this kind of set the foundation for what I do with women in business now. But I didn't realize it at the time. When I was building Bump Club, I was just very intuitive about how I was marketing and reaching expectant parents, right? It wasn't like I had some grand plan. I didn't. Like most entrepreneurs, I was flying by the seat of my pants. When I first started, I didn't have any employees. I mean, eventually I did. When I sold, I had 10, but I always did the social social media and the marketing. And I realized after I left, I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to start building this podcast and I'm going to hopefully take it beyond the podcast, which I have. What worked? Like, why did Bump Club become so successful? Why did so many women want to join us and come to our events? And it really came down to the fact that I showed up. I mean, I showed up from day one as an expectant mom and shared all my shit and was like, I'm fat and my ankles are swollen and my stomach itches and I have gestational diabetes and all the things, right? And I was very, very true and authentic and I didn't really care. And this was at a time when like bloggers were big and there weren't influencers yet. It was bloggers and everything was really idealistic. And I did not paint this perfect picture of pregnancy or motherhood. In fact, I hated being pregnant and I talked about it. And so, I that was the big thing was that I was authentic and I showed up consistently. But then the second big thing was that I always took whatever we were doing and I put it in so many places. I would put it on social and on my website and emails and events. And that eventually became my framework, which I now teach in Dear Found Her, which is called Sweep. And that's how you market your business organically in a very simplistic way. And so, when you were saying like, Shane, in the intro that I do marketing made simple, like everything I do is very easy and any business owner can do it. Social media is a piece of it, a very important piece of it, but it is not the end all and be all and it shouldn't be the end all and be all. And so, at the time, like I said, I didn't realize that I was building this framework or a process. I wouldn't be where I am today without this process because it has allowed me to really grow my businesses with a lot of awareness and get in front of a lot of people, not just on social.
And what you did was build a community in real life, not just online. People have the online resources, but you built these events and people come and you're still doing it. I know
Yes.
you have one tomorrow, right?
Yes.
In Chicago with, in real life. And if I hadn't already been to Chicago twice this month, I might have come for it. But, you've built these people want to see each other. They don't come just because of Lindsay Pinchuk. They come because,
Correct.
I met this person at the last one, or I met this person through the Dear Found Her forum, and I want to see her in person.
And it's interesting also, I don't mean to cut you off. It's interesting, but like after Bump Club, I was like, oh my God, I never have to host an event again. I've hosted 2,000 events in the last decade. I don't ever have to do this again. And then lo and behold, as we were coming out of COVID and I started Dear Found Her, people were like, I want to meet the women in Dear Found Her. And so we hosted an event and it was like magic. I mean, it was like bananas. And it was actually invite only because it was still kind of COVID. It was the summer of 2022. And I remember my kids had to be tested for COVID to go to camp. And so I had to wait till they left for camp to have this event. And after they left, I was like, screw it. Like, I'm having the event. Like, I don't care. They're gone, whatever. And people were pissed that they weren't invited to it. Like, it was like 100 women. People were like, when are you doing the next one? Why wasn't I invited? And so it actually took me about another year before I did another event. And I would say, every month, it doesn't matter if there's 50 women or 75 women or 10. And tomorrow's actually going to be quite small because of the Jewish holidays. It's magic. And that what happens in person then translates online and it gives people a path to engage with me on social media in a different way. People start DMing me and apparently this is going to become very important per the news an hour ago. So I think that these events and this in-person connection and doing all of these other things are so important for your business.
Absolutely. And I mean, look at what's happened in Marketing Made Simple. I was in the first cohort. We're still in touch. We're still a group.
She talks about it all the time.
Yeah, we still have a group of people. And all of these women are the people I go to for advice. Jenna's working with Heather. Heather's going to be a guest as well. And all of these people are going to be guests on the podcast because I keep reaching out to them. And, now we've arranged our own event. We did it independent of Lindsay and Lindsay's joining us. But Jillian was like, let's pull this together. Let's go to New York. And so we're going and most of us are going to be there and we get to see each other in person. So there's something about, and Jenna, I think you'll agree with this, that it's not all just online community that matters. And I think your generation actually does a really good job of going between, that online and offline community and really building real relationships that way.
Yeah, for sure. I think that as important as social media is, it's easier to get an authentic experience in person. Social media is great at promoting the event, sharing the event, doing all the things before and after the event, but the actual event, you can't just sit there on your phone. You can't just record videos. You have to talk to people. It's everything.
It is
Absolutely.
everything.
Yeah.
Good point.
And so speaking of social and your business and life and authenticity, how has being on social media and how has, growing an audience on all of your different companies, how's it shaped not just your business, but also your personal life?
So it's interesting because I have 2 accounts, and I always had my personal brand account and a Dear Founders. And these accounts have really kind of changed over time. So when I left Bump Club, I didn't have Dear Founder yet. It was just Lindsay Pinchuk. And I made a very big kind of bold statement that the Lindsay Pinchuk account was no longer going to be like about my kids and my family and like, what I ate for dinner or whatever it might be. It was going to be about entrepreneurship, and it was going to be my business account. And I made that very clear. And I started sharing things about entrepreneurship as it pertained to me. I started sharing tips about marketing your business, female founded brands I love, like that kind of stuff on Lindsay Pinchuk. And when I started Dear Found Her, I created an account for Dear Found Her. Thank God I did, because I almost didn't. And I started an account, and really the whole point of that account was to talk about the podcast. It was nothing but that. It was just like, here's who's a guest, here's who you can expect to be coming up. I still shared all of my education and information on Lindsay Pinchuk. And then October 7th happened, and that's how Shane found me. And I started speaking out on behalf of the Jewish community. And I couldn't talk. I felt that in that moment that I couldn't talk about work anymore on Lindsay Pinchuk. It was very weird. It felt icky, to be honest, like in that moment with everything going on. And it was inappropriate. I felt like I could not be sharing about, like, I could not be saying, all of these people were killed at the Nova Festival. Oh, and yes, sign up for my mentorship. Like, it just like, it didn't work, and I was really talking a lot about what happened on October 7th. And so I started gradually shifting to talk more about business on Dear Founder. I didn't talk about business for a long time, for 2 months at all. I didn't talk about any business. I actually wasn't dropping new podcasts. I was really just trying to figure out what was going on. And a couple months in, it was probably like end of November, early December 2023, someone asked me on my Lindsay Pinchuk account, what do you do when you're not fighting for the Jewish community? And I was like, oh, I probably should let people know I have a job. And I did. And when I did, it coincided with me launching Marketing Made Simple. And so many people were interested. And so many people were interested because I think they felt that I was a safe space, that they knew I was not going to be anti-Semitic, that I was, they knew what I was thinking because I was very forthcoming on Lindsay Pinchuk. And so the way that I have since kind of shaped up my social media is on Dear Found Her, it's everything business related. It's my mentorship, it's my community, it's my podcast, it's my tips, it's being an entrepreneur, it's everything like that. And Lindsay Pinchuk is really more the personal brand. The personal brand right now is a big advocate. And so sometimes I will collaborate on things, and sometimes I will share things from Dear Found Her on Lindsay Pinchuk. In doing this, my podcast has been attacked also. Like, I have been the target of anti-Semitic attacks on my podcast, which has nothing to do with my religion, nor should it. It has to do with my 25 years in business. But you asked how it shaped my life. So that's kind of a big question at the moment, right? Because I am very forthcoming on social media about how I feel about the world. But it's interesting because I started my business on social media in the parenting space, and I always shared my kids, and I very rarely share my family anymore. Usually never in my feed. And if I do, it's buried in a carousel. And every now and then I will share a picture in my stories. People love seeing them, and I know that, but I also don't want them to be like so out there. And I don't say their names, and I don't, I'm really much more careful now because of that. Dear Found Her, I talk a little bit more about being a mom as it pertains to my professional life, but I have really strict guardrails about what I will talk about and what I won't talk about, especially as it pertains to my safety. So social media, and it has shaped my life. Like, it's still really weird to me when I go to Trader Joe's, and like last Sunday I'm not kidding, I didn't make it out of the first aisle and I was stopped 5 times. And it was like so nice. It's so nice. And I'm like so touched and no one everyone's just like, oh my God, you're Lindsay. Like, thank you for all that you do. And it is so nice because I put myself out there so much now in like a very, in a very contentious space, I guess. But it is still very weird to me when I go places and am recognized, and I don't even have that big of a following. It's not even like that big, but it's like it's very odd to me. So like my life has changed a lot with social media. I've always been forthcoming, but it's just really changed in terms of what I put out into the world. And I used to be like, "Oh my God, you're Lindsay from Bump Club." And now I'm like, "Oh my God, you're Lindsay from Instagram. Thanks for saving the Jews." And and like no one really ever says you're Lindsay from Dear Found Her. I hope that the tides turn and that changes one day, because that's really what I want to be known for, but I will say that the Lindsay Pinchuk account has helped to lift up Dear Found Her as well. Even with all the attacks and the shit that I face, like it really has helped to garner more downloads, to garner more eyeballs, to garner more brand awareness. And it has built my business a lot. So, and I don't regret speaking up for the Jewish community.
No, of course not. And your authenticity comes through, and that's why people trust you, respect you, and want to be part of the marketing universe that you've created, because we know you. We know you as a human. And, one of the things that I was thinking about when you were talking, we're both working moms, but we both created something from home. We had little children when we were doing all of this and growing our businesses. But there were moments when Jenna was in third grade, I think I missed almost every field trip, because they went on a field trip every month. And I was like, I have a networking meeting, I can't go. And at some point that stopped. And I was like, which am I? Am I a mom, or am I, an entrepreneur first? And it sort of flipped in my head. And at some point she noticed. You were in like 6th or 7th grade, and you were like, Mom's here. And then all of a sudden I became like parent association president, and I was in the school all day, and she was like, get out of my space.
Well, yeah, I remember in elementary school, I was like sometimes the only kid without a parent there, and I didn't really care. It's okay.
So I sent you to camp so you'd be independent.
Yeah, my independence is a large part of who I am, and a lot of it is thanks to the way I was raised.
Yeah. So how do you feel that your girls feel about how their growing up has been, mostly through Bump Club until a few years ago, and then now how do they feel about it?
So it's interesting because when I left corporate America the first time, so when I was working in magazines, I worked at Hearst for 10 years. And when I left, my girls never knew that part of me. But when I left, I did it because I was having a baby and I wanted to be flexible and I wanted to spend more time with her. And I will say the biggest thing about Bump Club was that I worked my ass off, but it was on my own time. And so if I had to be there for a Mother's Day luncheon, I was able to be there. If I had to be there for pickup, I was able to be there. I had a lot of childcare and a lot of help, but I still went to classes with my kids and I still did things, but I traveled a lot. My mom would come and help my husband and my au pair, because we had an au pair at the time. And, that's kind of what they knew, right? So like they only knew that. But they were babies when that was going on. And then COVID happened. And it was very interesting because COVID happened and obviously I was grounded and I was home and I didn't travel for a couple of years, maybe like 3 years, which like 2 to 3 years, which is insane when I think about that I didn't get on a plane for that amount of time for work. And when I left Bump Club in the fall of 2021, I left. And of course, like my whole goal was so that I could be with them again, because I was back at corporate America and my schedule wasn't my own. And I will tell you, when I went back into corporate America, it was a nightmare. And it was a nightmare because people would put things on my calendar. We were home for COVID. No one respected my time. I was literally like having meetings all day and I was running like Facebook Lives with the brands at night. Like I would eat dinner with my family at like 6:30 and then I'd have to come back on and like host some like thing with Frida Mom or Frida Baby or Graco or whoever. And so it like my time wasn't my own. And even though I was physically present in my house, I really wasn't spending so much time with my kids, which sucked. And so when I left, I was like, I want to be around and be present for my kids more. And I made it a point right out of the gate, like every day on my calendar, I picked up my kids. And that was a non-negotiable unless I was traveling. When I started traveling again, at first my kids were like in a panic. I mean, they were like, because they didn't remember what it was like when I traveled. It had been so long and they were babies when I traveled. Now they love it because I bring them back stuff or I'll invite them or like, it presents a lot of opportunity now. And I think now they're used to it and it's okay. But I will say like this 2.0 of mine has been created with a lot of intent because I really want to be around for my kids. Like very similar to you, Shane. Like you said, like when Jenna started middle school, like I have a high schooler and a middle schooler, and I want to be around for them, even if it's like just here when they get home. So, everything has been designed with intent because I really want to be present for my kids, but I also want them to see me working.
Yeah. And that's really your legacy, is that they know that you do this, you contribute, you're equal to your husband on that level. And I think that's awesome.
And I think they think it's so cool, some of the opportunities that I like give to them. And I actually said to my daughter the other day, my older one, I said, do you know like a big part of this podcast, what it's going to do for you? Like Dear Found Her. And she kind of looked at me and I said, when you want an internship, who do you think we're going to call? We're going to look at who's been guests and who I talk to and who I have relationships with. And we're going to call them and see if they are taking interns. I said, like, this is like going to benefit everyone in the long run,
Right. Absolutely. I mean, Jen and I just talked about this. We had an episode, just the two of us last week, and we're talking about how networking is everything. And some people of her age, they're about to graduate college. Some are like, I don't want my parents' help. I want to do this on my own. Well, that's all fine and good, but let's at least get your foot in the door with some networking. Your parents have connections. Why not use them?
All it is reaching out and asking.
Yeah. And then the parent should step out and the kid has to get the job on their own and prove themselves on their own. But networking matters.
Did that answer your question, Shane?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it did. It did. So Jenna is about to graduate. So she's about to enter this next chapter of her life. And I think, one question that we both have is, what advice would you give her as she's about to end, living in a college town and living off of me?
Any and all advice is welcome.
Yes.
Lindsay.
So I'm going to give you two pieces of advice. So one, I'm going to give you advice for being in college your senior year, and that is enjoy yourself. Okay. You have your whole life to work and you will get a job without a doubt. Like I had a job coming out of college and 9/11 happened the day after I was supposed to start working. And during the economic downturn, they rescinded all of our offers. Like they had paid for me to come to Chicago and find an apartment. I had a lease. And that summer they took away all of our jobs. And then when 9/11 happened, there was like no chance we were going to have a job. And I was in such a panic. My friends were in New York. They were starting their lives and blah, blah. And I was still in Detroit and I didn't know what to do. And I didn't start working until January, but I went to Montreal for a little bit. My now husband was there. And I was just kind of like doing some freelance stuff and like working remotely. But I was so panicked the whole time and so stressed the whole time. And really and truly, I should have enjoyed myself because I've been working every day since. So like you will get a job. Okay, you will get a job. You're like, that is without question. So enjoy yourself because you cannot get this back. And I said to you at the top of this, I would do anything to go back to college right now. So, this is it, Jenna. This is it. Live it up because it is, it is kind of like the last hurrah in terms of like responsibility. Like after college, it's a whole new level of responsibility. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say, and going back to something that we were just talking about, is talk to everybody. Literally talk to everybody. When you are on an airplane, talk to the person sitting next to you. I'm having dinner on Monday night with one of my best friends who she got one of her first jobs in PR because she was talking to someone next to her on a plane. Okay. So
Wow.
You never know who you're going to be around. So it's funny because I show up kind of like this in like sweats and leggings all the time. I won't fly during the week like this. I always put on jeans and like I don't get dressed fancy, but I get dressed because I never know who I'm going to sit next to. And so I talk to everybody. I really do. I still talk to everybody. So talk to everybody. Reach out to people who have been in your past, like past internships, past professors, your parents' friends, like ask them, who can I talk to? Who can I reach out to? And literally just talk to everyone and let them know what it is that you want to do. And I think that is really the baseline and the foundation for going out into the world and looking for a job. And then I would say the next thing is, and I know Heather Reddish is going to talk to you about this too if she hasn't already, but just be respectful and responsible. And I would expect that from you anyway. I know I don't have to tell you that, but I'm saying it for anyone else who's listening. If you have friends or college age kids who are listening to this, like don't have your parents call the employer. I know it's like crazy. Like you have to, And be respectful and don't expect people to just hand things to you. You have to work for it. We all grew up in an era where we worked our asses off. And I know your mom did too. I know she did. And I did too. Like I was, the first one in the office, the last one out. I entertained clients all the time. And it was because I didn't have a family at home at the time. So when you're able to work hard, show up and work hard, improve yourself, and don't just expect that it's going to be handed to you. And I think those are kind of like, I could go on and on about things that I would give to you or any college student, but I think that those are kind of the good basics to start with.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think something that my huge mantra throughout the summer was like, nothing is guaranteed, it all has to be earned. And I think that's something that like I'm gonna that's definitely gonna be sticking with me as I go into my job search and try to figure out the next chapter of my life.
Don't stress about it though. I would say that, like, you're very lucky. You have an amazing family. You have incredibly supportive parents, and everyone wants you to succeed, and everyone's going to do their best to make sure that you are set up on a path to succeed, and you will succeed. Don't stress about it, because the more you stress, the more you're taking away from time that you could be pouring good energy into reaching out to contacts or setting up meetings and do that. Like, I mean, I used to go, I still do. I still have coffees with people once a week, lunches with people, just to kind of like stay on their radar and see what they're up to and let them know what I'm up to. And, it's all about networking and who you know.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak with us. You are seriously the best ever. So inspiring. My mom does not shut up about you at all.
Well, I love you guys, and I feel the same way, and I'm so proud of you, and I can't wait to share this podcast. Thank you for having me, truly.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for joining us. We can't wait to get it all edited and published, and it'll roll out as soon as we're ready to publish.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when it's coming, so thank you. You're the best. Go enjoy your girls. Well, Jenna, that was awesome. You got great advice from one of the best. She's excited?
It's incredible. I'm still a little nervous. If you're nervous, if you're not nervous, you're not doing it right.
Right. Some anxiety is good anxiety because it lights a fire and it gets you going. And I think you've got that. So now that we have had our first guest, we have to end our episode with our normal weekly things. So Jenna, what is the social media trend you're seeing right now that's really got you going? What do you really like or not like?
Honestly, it's this whole new DMs thing. Like, this whole thing is really interesting. I do a lot of reels, not in my personal life, but in like my internship life. So I'm interested to see, because that content usually is some of our best performing content, if it's going to stay that way now that reels are being more emphasized in Instagram. So curious.
Definitely something to bring up on your next meeting when you're, your next internship meeting so that they know you're ahead of it because this is brand new. So it's exciting.
Yeah. What about you? What's the Facebook comment of the week?
Okay, I got a good one to end on today.
Is this the one you sent me?
No, this is not even one from one of the schools. It's not your school and it's not your brother's school. Someone sent this one to me and it's the craziest one I've ever seen. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
This came out last summer. My son is coming to X school in the fall, and I couldn't be more excited for him, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts on things. I plan on giving him a 10 p.m. curfew on weekdays and 11 p.m. on weekends. Does this sound acceptable? I'm also wondering if there is some sort of wake-up call service during the week to make sure he is up and prepared for his morning lectures. Thanks.
You sent this to me.
But do I even have to tell you how crazy this is?
Nuts.
What? And it's anonymous, of course, because everybody in these Facebook groups is anonymous. And the worst part is there's 158 comments on it. People are enabling this. There's over 6,300 likes. No, absolutely not. No. No. So that's what I have to end with today. All right, well, you've got a meeting to start planning for your future, so go do that, and I'm sure we'll talk to you later.
Love you.
I love you, baby. Thanks for joining us on the Social Dialogue Podcast. If you liked today's conversation, be sure to follow, rate, and share the podcast, and keep the dialogue going with us on social.
Find us at The Social Dialogue on Instagram and Facebook.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Jenna.
Thanks for listening.